All right, we here, man. Second episode, SELL-A-VATION. I got my man Vin with me, man. We're just talking, man. We was talking before we jumped on, and I had to remember to hit the record button so we could keep chopping it up. We're just gonna keep sliding right into the conversation. Vin, go ahead.
So, just being out yesterday, I had a conversation with a couple of brothers, and one of the brothers was saying how, he went to Detroit, looked at some houses, and he's talking about like that market and the rental market, how cheap the stuff is. And then, another friend jumped in the conversation, and he was like, I want to really talk and really want to start doing things as far as being in the real estate. So I'm like, yeah, perfect. Let's do it. But I say this, and I'll say this to him directly, is like, I've been trying to get you to get on this wave for 17 years. A lot of times, you catch the wave when it's up, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with it, but it's harder now. If you would have took that energy early on and just got through the tough times, you would have just been moving straight through, breezing through. Now, like, you can't skip the steps. And it's the same thing, like, when you're young, if you come from the streets, you never can skip the steps. I told another brother, I said, people always took the quote unquote son in the street the wrong way. And everybody talks about it now like that was a joke, but not realizing is the quote unquote son learned the most information. If the person that was sonning you really valued you, they seen something in you. So now, you start off riding in the passenger seat. I ain't shy about it. I rode in the passenger seat,
Yeah.
seen a lot, but guess what? I paid attention. Not even realize I was paying attention. And that's what made me learn not only about the streets, but about life. Because I got to sit there and watch the front row seat. I seen the mistakes he was making. Seen the good stuff he was making. I seen the dumb stuff he was making. Just all of it. I'm sitting there like, wow, okay. And it really starts to hit you later on in your life when you're an adult. Like, I needed that. That was a what they would call today a mentorship.
Yes.
If that makes sense.
That's like when we was talking about the different languages, right? In different rooms. It was mentorship back then. Just where we come from, it's called being son. Like, yo, like, dude, sonning you. You know what I'm saying? You get offended by it, like, come on, man. What you mean? He ain't sonning me, man. We all played the passenger seat. We was all Frank Lucas, you know what I mean? Before the ratting. We was all Frank Lucas.
Listen, absolutely.
So, Bumpy taught him well. So that's prime example. When I was in the passenger seat and then my guy got bagged up, went and did his bid. When he came home, I ain't skip a beat though. I ain't skip, bro. I was like, yo, like, yeah, boom, like what? Yeah, all right, cool, got you. Let's keep moving. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was like it was. I needed a new. I needed to be a son on a new level now. You know what I'm saying? Because I done catapulted, leveled up everything I was learning and watching. And people like, yo, why you always with my man? Why you always doing that? I'm like, yo, bro, I don't know what y'all talking about. I'm good. Yeah. When I watched when he left, there was no panic. There was no nothing. It was just dum, dum, dum. And I'm watching everybody else that was way up here talking. I'm like, yo, like looking down, then like, okay, like, yo, this works. So that's where the concept came from for me to, it's not about being at the top of any circle. I really think being at the top of any circle is the worst place to be.
Absolutely.
I don't want to be there. You got everybody want to knock you down. Yes. Everybody wants to hate more than ever. I want to be at the bottom of a new circle continuously. You know what I'm saying? The bottom of the new circle. That's where everybody's dropping everything. And then the ones that are winning, they're looking down and they really want to help. And your self-doubt starts to go away because you're like, yo, I'm really valuable. I'm adding value to these people. These other people didn't see it because they didn't know what they was looking for. So yeah, absolutely, man. That mentor thing that, son, where we come from, it's damaging. It's damaging. Yeah, because when someone's ready to share with us, we're like, man, come on, man, dude trying to son me. Talking about, yo, can you run to the store and get this? Like, yo, the dude just gave you 100,000 worth of game in the last 30 minutes, and you can't go grab him a soda real quick. Like,
it's free. It's if you before we was recording, you said something. You said we were speaking on the points, basically how would, if somebody came to you, how would they try to go get started? And I've been in that situation where somebody would ask me that, and I always say, I don't care if you have, money or no money, go shadow somebody. Like I just, this is a true story. A friend of mine who is like one of the most successful real estate agents, I want to say like on the whole East Coast.
Okay.
About 500 sales a year. He was looking for a driver. And he asked me, Vin, if you know anybody that would like to drive, I need a driver to take them from place to place. And if they survive a year, I'll do a project with them, a flip. Right? So I'm happy, I'm like, wow, okay, I gotta tell I'm excited, right? So I tell one kid, right? He got so many questions. What do you mean a driver? Like, what's he gonna have me doing? He's gonna be yelling at me, he's gonna be right? So I'm not the one looking for a driver, so I can't give you all these details, but I'm gonna tell you like this, it's a great opportunity. You're looking at it as a driver. I'm looking at it as, and I'm bringing this to you because you told me you wanted to get into real estate. Mm-hmm. This is the real estate. This guy's gonna, he's a machine. Like if I was your age in that situation, if I was my age in your situation where you first wanted to start getting into real estate, mm-hmm. I would have jumped on, I would have did it for free. Forget the salary. Yeah. Mine, he's giving whatever, $20 an hour or whatever it is. I would have did it for free. And I presented this to like 3 people. I presented it to another friend of mine. His son doesn't want to go to college, this and that. And I was like, yo, good opportunity for your son. I know he was working at like Target or something, or Home Depot, one of the things. And he was like, nah, man, I don't know, man. I don't want him to yell at my son. I was like, all right, my bad. Like, so now we're gonna keep diapers on the babies now, huh? I'm like, I don't know if he's gonna yell at your son, but your son's 21 years old, bro. Like he's 21. Like, everybody I know that was his driver is doing real estate right now. That's one thing I do know. I don't know how successful they are, but they're doing real estate. So I'm saying that is the opportunity. Like when I first wanted to do real estate, and I asked this question, I was talking to a couple of dudes, and one dude he was a serial entrepreneur, and he had I want to say he had a dry cleaners and a donut shop. I don't know exactly. I'm just speaking on it, but he said he went and worked at a donut shop, like. He said he had money, but he needed to see how the process worked. So what he told me is like, you want to get into real estate, at the time he was like, go try to be an appraiser, real estate agent, mortgage broker, whatever, just get in the industry. And that's kind of what I did. I started off, I remember when I came home, I had probation, I had to get a job, and my father put me on with a guy to do mortgages. So it was commission based. So the probation officer was like, you can't be on a commission thing. You got to get something stability. So I was like, if I go get another job, which I went to Stop and Shop, I worked overnight. Can I do that and do the mortgages during the day? And it was like, yeah, absolutely. And that's what I did, man. I worked at night. I did mortgages during the day, and it was an adjustment. And I just kept grinding and grinding because my goal wasn't to be a mortgage broker. My goal was to get around real estate. And that's the same thing. When I felt that I wanted to participate in the street game, I naturally put myself around it, whether it was subconsciously or whatever. I jumped in the car, with my cousin's boyfriend, and eventually, you know, went from there step by step by step. And I did the same thing in this real estate thing. So I'll give somebody else that same advice. You know, put yourself in good situations where you can get through the process, get through the transition, and just keep learning and succeed from there. You know.
Yeah, no, when just to go back when you was talking about, the dude asking all the questions, what I got to drive, I got to do this, I got to do that. You know, looking at a lot of that is gets triggered from self-doubt, right? The thing of what is everybody going to say about me? How's everybody going to look at me? Man, I'm driving somebody. I'm
Yeah,
being a chauffeur. Like, yo, they going to clown me. How do I know? Cuz we clown people all the time for these type of jobs,
yeah, absolutely.
right? When it really wasn't a job, it was an opportunity to get what you said you wanted, right? So we look at it and self-doubt beats us up so much and we start to worry about all the stuff that ain't even in our control. You
Hmm.
could talk about me and you could say whatever you want, but while you're over here listening to $100 conversation, I'm over here listening to a multi-million-dollar conversation. So your last 30 minutes, you learn how to make $100. You learn how to make $1,000, if that, right? In my conversation, I learned how to get to the 100. I learned how to get to the 100 real quick just by being in the seat and ear hustling. I
Yeah.
want the I want the conversation, right? It was I forgot who it was. One of the dudes was saying that conversation changes compensation. And
Mm.
when I heard that, man, that's one of the things that make it real easy for me to just cut people. Like, yeah, nah, I'm good.
Yeah,
Like, no,
yeah,
I'm not
yeah.
going there. Why? Because my man said, yo, conversation changes compensation. So think about it. When I was in the hood, broke, running around getting started, I was hanging around with the other broke people that wanted to go grab a nick and a 40. Like, we got $10, we good right now. We'll
Yeah,
work on the next 10 later. You know what I'm saying? Like, I got a nick and a 40 and some blunts, we ready. So now you turn around and you look at that whole concept, the whole concept of I got with this group, this is what we was doing. I got with this group, this is what we was doing. And every new group you started to level up. You know
hmm
what I'm saying? Like back in the day, you had to have some bud to get in the passenger seat. You
hmm
got bud, you can get in the passenger seat. Now you're here in the game, you're seeing what goes on. You're like, oh, I want this. Now you start hanging out even more, right? You get hungry for being in the environment. So you do what you need to do to stay in the environment, which
hmm
means you got to make money. So if it means that I got to sit instead of the passenger seat, now I got to sit in the driver's seat and I got to drive somebody so I can get the information. Why? What's the difference? I'm getting new information. I ain't going to jail and I'm not going to get murdered. I'm in. And I think when we start to look at the people that we take the criticism from or the people that we help, that we allow to help fuel our own self-doubt, we got to look at them like, yo, do I even want their life? Like, what are they doing that I want?
hmm
Am I just trying to avoid their opinion because they're cool in the streets? They got a nice car. They live in some trashy apartment, no furniture in the crib, but the car fly. They got the Benz.
hmm
But inside the crib, it's naked. You know what I'm saying? Like, ain't nothing in there, man. They lost. You talk to them, they're lost.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, man, that just don't work. And that's what I start to think about when I see like this younger kid, right? Even grown folks. I think once you get over like 40 and you ain't made that adjustment, that's a harder shift, right? Um, but when we're talking about the young ones, the self-doubt, you really got to look at it and say, yo, why do I feel like I don't belong? Why do I feel like I got survivor's guilt? Why do I feel that um people like me just don't make it? Right? It's not for me. I'm not smart enough. You're not smart enough because you don't do it every day.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like I just think, man, you got to get to that point where you identify the source of your negative thinking, right? The source of the self-doubt. You got to search for it. And the best way to do it, honestly, is just eliminate everything and get by yourself. Most people can't be by themselves. You know what I'm saying? Get by yourself. And then once you get by yourself, become used to it. And you're going to twiddle your thumbs. You're going to want to pick up the phone. You're going to want to call people. But the longer you go without talking to them and you start filling your head with new stuff, when you do talk to them, you start to see how empty it is. You know what I'm saying? That's the power in separation, bro. I used to worry. People used to be like, yo, Dub, man, go buy some sneakers. I'm like, nah, man, I don't want to buy no sneakers. And in my mind, I'm saying, I see you buying all these things, but I see you struggling in areas you shouldn't be struggling in. You know what I'm saying? Like that don't make sense. I went
Yeah.
to buy a bike one day, Vin. I went to buy my bike, and I was a G short, and I was like, yo, I don't want to go to the crib just to get a G. I'm around ballers. I'm like, yo, let me hold a G real quick, and everybody looked funny, Vin. Like,
Yeah.
huh? I said, damn, I give it right back to you. You know what I'm saying? You want to hold my car? Like, what you want? And then
Yeah.
my man gave me the G. I went and got the bike. You know, it's summertime. I'm riding. I'm not in a rush to go to the crib. I'm not thinking like we out here really like, yo, call me in 30 minutes. Like, yo, can you grab that for me? Like,
Mhm.
I'm not thinking we like that, but that's how the call was coming. So I was like, okay, stopped everything, went and got the G, gave it to him. And it was a story behind it. And I'm just like, yo, all right, here, man, my fault. Like, I'm sorry.
Mhm.
But it showed me every level of insecurity that the individual had. And I'm like, yeah, I rather not go buy sneakers every day or every other day. I'd rather keep buying my 2 pair every 3 months and know that
Mhm.
my money right.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because I didn't care what people thought about me or what they said. And it was easy in that environment because I was used to being there. But in new environments, it seemed like them opinions was harder to overcome. And you start to think of how they looking at you. And did that mess my deal up? Did that do this? Did that do that? So again, Vin, I went and got by myself, man. And I went to the root of the source. Right. So I just think when we hesitate to do something or we hesitate to get started, go to the root of that and see and find what's holding you from moving. Once
Mm.
you find it, you feel relieved. It's like because it's not that serious.
Well, one of the biggest things I can say for me, which is great, as far as with my mother, I'm an only child, and so being alone is not the like a problem for me, which it shouldn't be a problem for nobody. Like,
Mhm.
you know, in conversations, I remember we was talking. I said to somebody, "Nah, I just left the movies. Who'd you go to movies with?" "I went by myself." "Went to movies by yourself?" I'm like, "Yeah." I had a great time. What? And then, wait, so then I'm sitting in my head like, wow, am I tripping? I was like, nah, I ain't tripping. Yeah, I sit. Sometimes I sit. I wake up at home. Not sometimes, all the time. I'm by myself for 2 hours, 2, 3 hours. If I'm up at 5 o'clock in the morning, if I'm working on something, if I'm writing, if I'm reading, or if I'm just thinking, sometimes
Mhm.
I can just sit still and think because it brings me clarity, and that helps me be more. That helps me have less self uh, have doubt within myself sometimes, because then that kind of like everybody could be around you and you could be worried about what this person thinks and what this person says, and it works, and it could be loved ones. I
Mhm.
wanted to write a book, which I'm still working on writing a book. And you tell people things, and they might have something to say, and you're like, man, you know what? That is corny. I ain't gonna do it. I'm good. I'm good. Right? And
Yeah.
you can sit back and be like, now I'm going back 3 years ago. I haven't finished it yet. So that self doubt has creeped up in me, and it just keeps festering. You don't realize it because sometimes it's self-conscious. I mean, it's subconscious.
Mhm.
Sitting there like you got to get yourself out of it, and us having these conversations, because conversation breeds understanding, kind of makes you be aware of like, all
Mhm.
right, you know what? Let's block everybody out. Let's do it. Because if I didn't overall in my life overall, I wouldn't do nothing. So me saying that is like, all right, when that doubt comes, I got to check myself because I could have
Yep.
doubt in buying real estate. Some people could be like, oh man, I don't know how you do that. And I really be in my head, what you mean how I do it? I just do it. Like, I don't know how you don't do it. How about that? You know?
Yo, but that's a real one right there, Vin. Like, I don't know how you don't. Like, how you ain't in this.
Yeah.
Because that's how I am with the car business. I'm like, yo, what do you mean? Like, you doing that? Why you ain't doing this? You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy how we look at it. And when you said like write the book, or somebody says like, oh, that's stupid. I bet you if you say that to an author, they're like, yo, it's the most gratifying thing ever, man. Yo, it's the best thing ever. Do you understand your words live on paper forever? Like my book will never die. It's always gonna be here. I be going places, they be like, you got a business card? I'd be like, no, hold on. I send them my book. I send them the book. I send them the book. Why not? I give them the whole book, download it, digital copy. Oh my God, you wrote a book? Yeah, that's my business card. You see what I'm saying? Like, yo, it's a different game.
Yeah, yeah. That's good.
Universities say, yo, you can't come here and speak because you ain't go to college. I'm an author. Oh, are you? You ever think about going to college? You can use your book for some English credits. I said, can I? I said, can I just write books all the way through English and just tap out? They're like, nah, you can't do that. But the book good for the English credits. You see what I'm saying? So, yo, write the book. 1 page a day. Just be like, yo, I'm gonna write 1 page a day. I'm gonna write 1 page. I'm gonna write a paragraph a day until I finish.
Yeah.
That is gratifying, man. I never did a book report, bro. I'm an author though. You know what I mean? Published. Like that, yeah. I don't care. I don't even care about the book. Honestly, I'm just more like, yo, I did that.
Us having the conversations what made me bring it up. I don't even think about it. I always joke with people when I have this conversation. I might give a dude a gem. We're just having a conversation, just talking. I can be like, yeah, but that's gonna all come out in my book in the next, 10 years, So I'm saying I know I need to do it, and I'm gonna do it. Put it that way. Since we're on this, I'm gonna do it. But
I'm gonna be asking all like, yo, Vin, you write something?
that's kind of what is needed.
Yeah.
That's what's needed. That's how you build people up. The conversations, I've learned more stuff having a cup of coffee with somebody that knows more than me. Because I always tell people the money's here. The money is not this. The money's here. Because you could take once you have this, and I know people say it all the time, you could take everything from a person, but if their mindset is full of wealth and riches, it's nothing. It's gonna come back. And that's what, one thing that made me realize is like I'm chasing something that's more than quote unquote money. I kick it with a lot of dudes because somebody told me this years ago when I first got into business, the same gentleman that he mentored me in doing the mortgages. And I remember something didn't go right. The mortgage or something or whatever it was with the client. And he said, so I explained to him what happened, and he was like, you had larceny thinking. He said, you was just thinking about the money through the whole process. And you missed this, and this. And I'll be honest, when he first told me, I'm literally saying in my head, man, what? All right, man, it's whatever. I'm just listening, right? And it didn't hit me until the last 5 years since I'm 46 now, probably like 40, 41, where it was just like, I get it now. Because if I do everything I'm supposed to do and I do it through the steps and everything happens, the money's going to come. The money has to come. It has no choice to. If I skip a step and I'm just worried about that check, I'm clouded. My mind's cloudy because I'm just like, okay, where's the money? Where's the money? So now you become a prostitute or a whore to the money, and that just stops you from, for one, doing the right thing. That's number one. Just following the steps and getting it done properly so it can't never come back to you. And I built a house for a gentleman. This was where he sold it last week, and his real estate agent and the buyers had all these things that needed to be cleaned up. Once the project didn't get properly cleaned, there was a bunch of carpentry stuff that wasn't neat and all this stuff. So I'm telling, project manager that I have on it, and I said, we got to get better I said, because the easy part is getting a customer one time. Anybody can do that. My son, 15 years old, can do that right now. I said the hard part in what's going to allow your business to survive is having a continuation
Yeah.
of that customer. For years to come. Like I want to have somebody say, yeah, Vin built my first two-family house 10 years ago. He's doing, not even Vin, Kyle Tiff. Let's take. I'm just an employee of Kyle Tiff. Um, Kyle Tiff is now building a 50-unit building for me. You know, um, and that's what the wealth mindset is. Sometimes it's not about just the money. It's about you giving a service, giving some value, and keeping people um, happy, where they're happy with your service or your product or your
Mhm.
book or whatever it is, or your speech or whatever it is you do. That's where I'm at essentially. You know.
Yeah, big difference. Big difference when it's not the money.
Yeah.
And I think it's hard to learn. It's hard to learn until it happens to you. You know what I mean? Like you hear other people saying it, but when you're like, yo, this bag, like, yo, I just got this bag for a day. You know what I mean? Like it's hard, Vin. Like, true story. Like going to schools and speaking in schools and charging the school 5,500, 8 grand to go to the school. And you telling me, yo, sit down and create a digital program so they can use it when you're not there. Nah, why I want to do that? That's too much work. I got to sit down. I got to structure everything. I got to put it all together. I got to make everything make sense. Why? I can go in here and do what I do, and I'm gonna make my 5,500 for the day. I make my 8 grand for the day. Like, why I want to do that? I don't want to do that,
Mhm.
right? And I wouldn't do it because the money. I was like, yo, the money. Like, I'm getting the bread. Like, why I want to do that? I don't need that. I don't need to post every day, all day long. I'm already getting the bread over here. I don't need to do that.
Yeah, yeah.
But I wasn't thinking the longevity. You know what I mean? Like I was thinking the money. I was on the money. I love what I do, but I just didn't want to sit down and do manual freaking work. You know what I'm saying? So I ain't do it. And then COVID came and smacked me. And then I'm like, yo, I lost everything fast. And I'm like, what happened? And it happened because I didn't want to sit down and challenge myself to do what I was afraid to do because I didn't want to be criticized. Like, why is it written out like that? Why the verbiage like that? Why is this like this? Right? I didn't want to sit down and go through all of it. So I got to the point where I said, yo, let me just challenge myself after I got smacked and lost everything, right? I said, let me challenge myself to sit down and get past my own negative self-talk. Like I'm talking to myself so negative. No, I can't do that. I told my mentor, he said, yo, write your keynote, do the same keynote everywhere you go, every time. I'm like, nah, I don't want to do that. I'm like, yo, like my spelling's messed up. You know how long it's gonna I can't really type. So I'm trying to write something, spelling messed up. I'm crossing it out, going back, don't know what I wrote down. You see what I'm saying? I'm like, yo, let me try to write it the way it sounds. All of these things, like I'm beating myself up about talking to myself bad. And I said, yo, challenge yourself to in your negative self-talk to sit down and really put something together because you got the information, right? Like you said, this is the currency. This is the real currency, the most valuable computer on the planet. And we got it for free. So we devalue the daggone thing because we ain't have to pay for it.
Hmm.
And then when I sat down and started to put it, like I showed you some of the content, like I added like 15 more pages, right? First module, like almost, it's probably 90% finished. And I'm looking at it last night. I'm looking at my body of work. I'm like, man, I got the book. I got this workbook, finished this module, and I got this workbook. I said, yo, I don't need to do nothing else right now. Right now, I just need to push what I have. And I need to focus there. And all the time of me saying to myself, I can't do it. This is too hard. I don't have the capacity in my mind to put this together. And I did it. But I had to get forced to do it, bro. I had to understand that the money, it's not about can you pay me to come in once. It's about can you pay me to come in and then get this program and have it licensed in your school or in your business, and you're licensing it from me. And now we're creating this other revenue. So even when I'm asleep, somebody is inside of this and it's working. that's another mindset. But I had to talk to myself different because I was talking real greasy, like, yo, you little dummy. Like you got a GED, bro, at 35 years old. Like, how you gonna write content? How you gonna write a workbook and teach? I've been doing sales for the last 12, 13 years. Like in the dealership for the last 12 or 13. Like forget like beyond that, right? Not even counting insurance. Like, yo, I know this. And when you get past that nasty self-talk, bro, the world changes. But it starts with these conversations. It starts with having them all the time. It starts being around people that challenge you. Like, nah, post a video. Nah, put that up.
Yeah.
It's not for everybody. Ain't gonna like you. Everybody ain't gonna like your shit, Vin. A million people look at your shit. Just think if you only had 50,000 people that liked it.
Yeah.
If you had 20, if you had 10,000, if you had 1,000 people that liked it out of a million, I promise you, I'm studying 1,000, and I want to turn 1,000 into a million. Different mindset. You know what I'm saying? So we got to get away from the people who say, some people maybe, damn, Vin, you got 1 million views on that. You only got 1,000 likes though. Oh, that shit trash. Nah, I'm like, yo, Vin, easy. Let's look at this 1,000. Let's focus there. Right? So that
if you focus on, there's some people that focus on, this is true. Some people focus on, oh yeah, you got whatever amount of likes, but why such and such and such and such didn't like it? And ask you that question, you're sitting there like, I don't know, but now you start to think like, damn, why didn't they like it? Was it because I said this right? Did I say something wrong? You get what I'm saying? So all of that can bring in the self-doubt to kind of force you to work on getting over it. You know, you already know we had this conversation last week without even recording it, and it began prior to that conversation, and you was like, Vin, you interested in coming to speak? And I'm like, I don't want to come speak to nobody. I don't know, what am I going to say? You know, like, I'll be honest with you. I'll be like, nobody want to hear nothing from me. People might be explaining what you do, and I could be like, I got to really sit down and think about what I do, but I just do what I do. I wake up and, you know, the old man told me a long time. I said, what's the secret to success? He said, just show up every day.
Show up every day.
And that's kind of, you know, what I do. But if you ask me to do something and work on something, I got to tell myself all over again, Vin, go ahead and show up, you know, where you can get comfortable in talking to you or anybody, which can help you in that doubt. Because self-doubt is not ever going to stop. I don't care how old you get. There's going to be something else. There's going to be a battle like, damn, can I do this? And, you know, you either got to have good people around you to say, yeah, you can do it. Let's go. You know what I'm saying? Or you're going to have messed up people around you. Just, all right, man, just don't even just lay down, man. Just go from there. You know, people, you know, I've heard people say things about me, right? And and I really was like offended, like, wow, that's what they think. Like, all right, you know what? Yeah, I'm not going. Yeah, that was stupid. But rather than just say, yeah, you know what? That's how they feel. You know, I'm allowing people to rent space in my head.
That ain't even credible.
That ain't even credible. Like, you know, and you hear people say it. You know, what Jay-Z said, his uncle said, he said, I want to be a rapper. He's like, rapper.
Sell a million records like a million times. I done sold the records like a million times.
Yeah. You know, you hear that, you're like, wow, yeah, he's true. But no matter what, when it happens to you, you're just like, you know, people probably never thought. Somebody actually said this to me the other day. Like, people have their doubts and they put the doubts onto you.
Yeah.
I got somebody said, you still doing houses? I'm like, that's what I do. There's no still. You know, and I said, don't take that the wrong way. This is what I do. You don't do nothing else? Nah, everything I do has something to do with real estate. You know, whether if I got a consulting company, you know, construction company, development company, you know, fix and flip, it's all intertwined in real estate. So that that can trigger to you saying, yeah, I didn't make no money on this house. I ain't gonna do it again. Or this headache, like I read things all the time that said, don't grow too fast.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right, so what do I do? I take the same thing. People, when I went to jail, um, somebody said something to me. I got out on bail. I already know, like, I gotta go do some time, whatever, whatever. And the dude said to me, my boy, um, he's like, yeah, man, you go too hard, right? So, and he said it to me. I'm like, I never stopped thinking about this. Him saying this. And when I made the decision, I had two traumatic things happen with people I know that kind of changed my mindset. And I said, nah, I don't go too hard. I'm just going hard on the wrong thing. You know what I'm saying? I don't. There's no such thing as going too hard because I don't see it no other way. You either gonna go hard at something or you're just not gonna do it correctly.
Yeah.
Now, if you go hard at something and it can cause damage in your life, that's something different. But if you go hard at something, whether if it's real estate, public speaking, writing books, you ain't gonna have nothing but success.
Nothing but.
But
Nothing but.
you
It's crazy because we gotta, so it's a formula, Vin. Like really it's a formula, right? Like 1 + 1 is always gonna equal 2. 2 + 2 is always gonna equal 4.
Mhm.
It's a formula that you got to create, right? You got to come up with the formula that works for you. So people say all the time, like when I first started speaking, they're like, "Yo, man, look, man, look where you come from. You're trying to motivate somebody. How you gonna motivate somebody?" Yeah, I was pissed. I
Yeah.
went, yo, it was like a rapper. Then I went right to the studio, put the camera on, dropped the video without saying names, without doing nothing but body shot after body shot after body shot, like just hitting them. And I did it in the video, very intentional. And afterwards, somebody hit me up and they caught it. And they was like, yo, Dub, why you do that? It wasn't that serious. Like you gave your energy to something. And it made me think. And I said to myself, damn, they don't even have a credit score. You see what I'm saying? And I'm not talking about your FICO. You know what I'm saying? I'm not talking about whether you got a 750, 800. You don't even have a credit score in my lane. You see what I'm saying? So I'm taking what you're saying to me. Oh, you still do that? Oh, you still working that hourly rate? You see what I'm saying? It's like, yo, like, oh, you still got to ask to go to the bathroom? You still got to ask for days off?
Yeah.
Like, there's only so many times that I'm not going to jab you back, but I'm not doing it out of a bad place, but I just want you to think about what you're saying to me. Because if I allow you to just say anything to me, then you're just going to say anything to me.
Mm-hmm.
But if you say something to me and I challenge you with something without me sounding angry or frustrated or like I'm trying to make you feel bad, and I just ask you a question that helps you to come to your reality, then you know daggone well you don't have no right to shit on my reality because we different. I've been in your lane. you ain't been in my lane. So I got a credit score in your lane. You don't have one, but I'm allowing you to rent space. Your score too low, Vin. So,
Well,
yo.
let me say this. Don't mean to cut you off, but I'll tell you this. I remember when you first um, uh, started to come up speaking and you were speaking on your book. I remember somebody hating, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, nah, man, that's dope, right? But I'm bringing up to say this. That made me not want to do what you do. As soon as you said that I was like, wow, yeah. Somebody told me that, and I was sitting there like, yeah, man, I ain't even going. I ain't going on Instagram or Facebook. I'm good. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
and I'm sitting there like, because then they start talking about your history or something like, somebody always got something to say. Like I always tell people, nobody knows my life like I know my life.
Yeah.
Nobody knows what I did like I know what I did. Just because you don't know
Mm-hmm.
doesn't mean I didn't do.
Yeah.
Whatever that could be.
Mm-hmm.
I have this conversation with people and I tell them straight up, I always been somebody.
Always, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like I always was. You didn't see me walking. I wasn't a walking kid. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I always been somebody, you know, since I was 15 years old, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not, that's one thing I won't brag on, but like we're going back to being that son and being that passenger seat. I've always been relevant within my atmosphere. I've never been irrelevant. You get what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
but everybody, unless you was with me all the time, you don't know what my experiences was. I didn't, and you don't know whether if it's girls, money, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
whatever the circumstances would be, you don't know what it is. So when I speak on that later
Yep.
on in my life, and I speak on my truth, who are you to tell me about my truth? You know, and and just be that critical of it, because when they said it to me, it ain't like I called and said, "Yo, such and such, boom, boom, hating," right?
Mm-hmm.
I took that inside, so I let them affect me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, no, I don't want to speak my truth.
Yeah.
Now I'm gonna say something, but guess what? You ain't. You know what, man? Forget you, bro. I gotta. You know, it's just like anything, man. You could. There's what's her name? She's fairly successful. Claudia Jordan, right?
Mm-hmm.
I remember Claudia Jordan was on Stop. Price is Right. Sorry, Price is Right. Right. She was in a video. We're going back years ago. Um, so people would say they know her and say, you know, say whatever. Like she wasn't that good at track. I'm just using an example, right?
Yeah.
That first of all, she never heard it, whatever, right? But look how successful she is now as far as as a viewpoint, like her being on TV and all this other stuff. So her not being around and hearing it didn't affect her. But guess what? It could have affected so many other people below
Yeah.
her. Now they're like, oh, I kind of wanted to follow her footsteps, but now I'm not doing it because they might say this about me. And that's literally what happened to me. We should have been having this conversation. You know, when you put out your book, how many years ago was that?
Shit. 4, 5 now, like 5, 6 years ago.
We should have been having that conversation 5 years ago, bro. I wanted
Yeah.
to have this conversation with you 5 years ago. And
Yeah.
that's why I listen to everything you say. I listen to you know your live, listen, boom, boom, and I'll be like, I should hit them. Nah. You know? And here we
It's
are.
crazy, Vin, because you know how many times, bro, I'm like, damn, I gotta hit Vin. Yeah, I gotta hit Vin. Damn, I know he's moving. I gotta hit Vin. And I got to and I was just like, damn, I'm plan this thing out. I'm like, fuck, let me hit Vin. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
just did it. And this is the crazy thing, Vin, again, right? Going back to like challenging your negative self-thought, your talk, right? Like somebody's talking to you, it hits you, and you hold it. Now you have the negative talk that takes you away from what you got. But on the other side of it, I had the number one motivational speaker in the world publish my book. So again, right? The person who says it, what's their credit score, bruh? And this is why it's so important to be around the right people. Because how do I be in a room with the number one motivational speaker in the world, with the dude that helped him to become the number one motivational speaker in the world? How do I be in that environment? The numbers in my phone, like we talking, and then I got somebody with no credit score in this lane making comments. And you pay it no mind.
Yeah.
You pay it no mind, bro. Like I'm looking at people like, oh, like, yo, did you ever want to write one? They're like, yeah, but it don't make no sense. Oh, all right. So that's why you're talking to me like that. Like I'm asking questions, man. You see what I'm saying? Because I want to get to the bottom of it. I want to know because I I ain't never look at a homeless dude and laugh at the dude because he ain't getting no money. I ain't never looked at somebody trying to get money and they're going through the frustrations and the pains and it's not working right now. I ain't never looked at them and say, yo, they're dumb. They need to just go do this. I'm always like, yo, they're going to get it one day. It's
Yeah.
coming. Like they have no choice but to win because they
Absolutely.
just doing the work every day. So if I'm talking like that to people that I don't even know, about people that I don't even know, that tells me that if somebody is not comfortable in themselves and they ain't get over their own self-doubt in this environment, they just want shit on everybody else. So you don't pay no mind, bro. One of these comedians took a video of one of my videos I put up, and was it Shula? It might have been Shula, and put the damn video up and was like, yeah, empty motivation, and was doing this little skit, how they do it side by side. Yo, I was hot, bro. This is the first time this ever happened. Then I was hot. I'm looking at the phone. I want to comment so bad, and I'm like, nah, I'm not gonna do it. I'm like, who the fuck this dude? I was hot, Vin, and I had to let it go. Why? He's doing his job. He's a comedian. That's what he does. He finds videos. I looked at it and said, yo, free promo. But I had to think about it, right? So that's when I went into, like, all my salespeople, man, I tell them, you got to learn to respond versus react, right? Respond versus react. I wanted to react, but it wasn't a good reaction. It was the reaction that Dub would have made. Like, yo, nigga, what? But Pierre had to respond, which means take time, think about it. What if I say this? What are you going to get from it? If I do this, what's going to happen? Nah, I put on there. I was like, yo, funny as heck. That was my comment. Yo, funny.
It's called inner self versus habit self. I was in a program when I was locked up, and I learned, I never forgot that. I forgot about a bunch of stuff, but inner self versus habit self.
Yeah.
Habit self is like what? Inner self is like you just said, let me think about this before I say. And I still have that problem to this day overall in many things, conversation and whatever. Sometimes I have to tell myself, all right, just listen. All right. Then when I listen, just think about it. Why you saying this? So that's just natural, and that happens with all of us, but it's still part of us, and it's a
controllable though.
Yeah.
It's a real controllable, because if I know, right, that there's something that Vin does that drives me nuts, but we got so many things to build on. This one thing drives me nuts. Do I respond and just be like, yo, man? Or do you just think about it for a minute and then figure out how to strategically get past it? And learn not to make it bother you, or learn how to have the discussion without it being confrontational. For me, that's the biggest flex. I'm never impressed with somebody like, yo, I closed the deal. All right, cool. What happened in the deal? Walk me through it. Oh, there was no triumphs. You ain't had to overcome nothing. It was easy. We're not patting you on the back for that. Yo, this deal, I had to do this, that. Yo, I just grabbed this, did that. Great. What you learned? You see what I'm saying? That's all I want to know. I'm more impressed with you not getting the deal, but understanding why you didn't get the deal and what you could have had done to make the deal better and made it go through. That's what I want, because we're expected to get the deal. You're supposed to close deals.
Absolutely.
The ones that are complicated, these are the ones that when it pushes you beyond your growth point right now, can you grow anymore? You know what I'm saying? Are you willing to grow? Are you willing to be stretched? Last night, true story, Vin, dude came in, him and his girl, she was pissed. He was pissed, right? I ain't letting him take the car. No, you can't do this. This is why. And I'm just relaxed. I'm talking. My man looked at me. This is some fucking bullshit. And da-da-da. And I looked at him like this. And I was like, man, listen, I truly understand. And you can see everybody around me is sitting there like, damn, I would have just either walked out or just told him, get the fuck out. And I'm sitting here like, no, my money is in his pocket. Like, where do I win if he leaves and I'm just pissed off because he told me this is fucking bullshit? Where do I win, Vin? I want my money out of your pocket. Therefore, I want to keep it together. So I'm going to be very strategic. And my salesperson, if I take the money back, my salesperson loses money. So am I more prideful, or am I for the win? And sometimes the win means you got to get punched in the mouth a little bit. You got to swallow your pride a little bit. Right now, there's always a flaw. We only gonna go but so far. But how do we execute before we get to the floor? And if my floor too high, maybe I need to lower my floor, because the expectations of trying to make it happen here ain't good enough. Maybe I got to lower my floor, so shrink my pride a little bit, And maybe I got to become more strategic before I get there. So
Yeah.
I'm just trying to learn myself in every situation. And I think once you get to that point, bro, that becomes the real, like the true game changer. And I built the respect for my salesperson. They like, oh my God, thank you so much. Like, yo, you're the best. Oh, don't listen, don't worry. I'm not taking your money.
So let me ask you this question: do you, in those circumstances, and I've been in that circumstance before, literally, because there's certain things I just dislike uh,
Mm-hmm.
with sales, putting a deal together, real estate.
Mm-hmm.
Do I become better at my reactions in responding, or do I put somebody in place who's better at it than me? So basically, if I don't like dealing with, you know, just to give you, sometimes I don't like dealing with, if I'm building a new construction house, for example,
Yep.
um, I don't want to deal directly with the buyer. It becomes overwhelming to me, the questions and this and that. So I put that on the real estate agent or the project manager to answer those questions, to deal with them directly. So am I doing myself a disservice by just passing that on to somebody that's better at it? Or do I pass it on to somebody that's better at it, but do I should work on getting better myself rather than just doing that? Because when you're saying it, like I would have that same frustration with that, with that sale that you just said, right? And
Mm-hmm.
me personally, I might just say, you know what? Screw this, man. I don't want you to buy the house. And I have to check myself sometimes. And that don't do that. But I won't involve myself directly so I can get better at dealing with that person. I would just pass it on to the next person. So that's the question. Do I keep passing that on? Or do I need to work on that to get better at it so I don't have this problem continuously?
You got to work on it. And this is the reason why, right? I don't want to just leave it like you got to work on it. You got to work on it because you're costing yourself a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
Because what that means is if they're not available, you might not get that deal. If they're working another deal and you got some other stuff you want to work, you're limited. How do you scale that way?
Yeah.
Right? You gotta, obviously you execute where you're phenomenal at, right? And then you put the person in place, but you air hustle. You got to watch the process through. Like, oh, how'd they deal with this? What they say? How'd that happen? Okay, what could I have did right there? Ooh, that would have stressed me out. Great. How do I get past that though? What part of it would have really stressed me out?
Mm-hmm.
Is it they asked me this? Great. So that means I know these are the common areas that stress me out. I identified five areas that going to piss me off and make me be like, you know what? I don't even want the deal. Great. How do I handle these 5 areas? You see what I'm saying? Break down the 5. And then how much of the 5 areas could I automate? Like, could I have a whole list, a sheet where it's written out and it really dives into these 5 places? So out of these 5, you might have one that the customer has, and that one pisses you off. But I'm gonna give you these whole 5 in writing, and I'm just gonna go over it with you, even though only one of them is really a problem for you. I'm gonna go over all 5 of them with you, and we're gonna be done.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? Because if they're with somebody and you over here and you got this deal, you trying to reach to them, your stress level goes up because you're like, damn, they ain't answering. I got this deal on the hook. They're gonna piss me. Nah, You gotta go do it. You gotta challenge the growth. And the more you get it, you create the structure so you can duplicate it again and duplicate it again and again and again. Right. And it goes back to what we was talking about, where if you can get somebody to just do 30% of something and you only got to do 70, that's cool. And then you get to the point where they doing 70 and you doing 30 and you got some life back.
Yeah.
You got to learn it. When we was talking about, having like 5 people in the room speaking and 100 people in the room, the 5 was my biggest challenge.
Mm-hmm.
The 5 was the biggest. And I was avoiding the 5. Like right now I'm getting back into the conferences, right? And doing like pop-ups to where just doing, it might be 3 hours and just going in and really just giving the game. And it's only going to be like 5-10 people in the room, most likely. I want to keep them small, intimate, right? What if I would have never overcame that? I'd be in trouble right now. Because you know how hard it is to put 100 people in a room?
Yeah.
But it's a lot easier to put 5 or 10.
Yeah, you can get 5 family and friends. Members, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? 5 or 10. Listen, bro, there's gonna be a ticket on it. Family and friends ain't coming.
Mm-hmm.
Family and friends ain't coming, man. They don't want to pay the ticket.
Yeah.
But it gives you all the footage. It gives you so many things. So I'm saying, what if I never overcame the 5 people looking at me like this? You see what I'm saying? So one of the things I did, because it was hard, is I figured out how to ask questions and get them writing. Because when they're writing, they're doing what? Looking down.
Is that the 5 people, or is that the larger group?
No, the small groups, the 5 to 10 was the hardest ones for me.
That's what I'm saying. Do you get them more engaged with writing stuff down? Because you remember that's what we spoke about. Like with my self-doubt, like, am I on the 5 people getting them to write stuff down?
Mm-hmm.
Is that a starting point, or you're saying do that regardless whether if it's 5 or 100?
5 or 100, but the reason why I got good at getting them to write stuff down and engage is so they're not looking at me.
Okay.
That was my hack. That was the hack for me to be in the room. You see what I'm saying? Because when I'm just talking, and they're looking at me, it's like, damn. At some point, you're like, yo, like, are you getting them? You not getting them?
That's yeah.
What's happening right now? Right? But when it's like, oh, like, do this, boom, right? Yep, write this down, and they're like this, or their pen's constantly moving, you got them. So it helped me to become better at engagement, at getting more engagement. The bigger rooms, they're still writing stuff down, but I don't have to just look at 5 people. I don't just have 5 or 10 people looking at me. So you got to just look at it and say, yo, what are the things causing me problems? Like, what's really causing me problems? What's giving me the self-doubt that I can't go in a room and speak? Like, I go out here on the sales floor, close all these deals. I sit there with these customers, handle all this heat. Like, what? Like, going into a room and doing it with more people, like whether it's one-on-one or 100 people, it don't matter. You're only reinforcing what you already know. You're not guessing. I'm not giving you the book of 7 habits of highly effective people and say, hey, go teach this course on this book today. Because now you got to be very.
So is it the same? So I might say, okay, all right, how am I going to do? You might say, Vin, you got to go up there for 30 minutes. And I'm like, what am I going to say for 30 minutes? I don't got nothing to say for 30 minutes. So I'm saying that, right? Is it the same? Like, so we had a forum, right? And me and you was just 5 of us having a conversation amongst a crowd of people, 50, 100. Is that the same as standard? Because I might not have doubt in that, right? But me just being up there by yourself, whether if it's the 5 people, 50 people, my head starts working now. I'm like, what am I going to say for 30 minutes? Okay. Am I going to forget what I need to say? Okay. All right. Am I going to stutter? Am I going to fumble my words? Am I got to go to the bathroom? I don't know. These are the things that's going to go. Now I'm sitting there like, yeah, I'm good. I'm straight.
Nah, bro. It's just like when we was talking before we jumped on, right? You're talking about what you know. You're putting story with it, right? I hope people really like listening, because like we just like shifted a little bit, but I hope they really listening, because this is how it really works. Like, this is really what it is. We think we can't do something that we do every daggone day. You know what I mean? And it's not we can't do it. We don't believe it. We got to challenge ourselves to talk to ourselves different. Like, I'm never going to give a speech. I'm always going to have a conversation. And every time before I go speak, Vin, I'm like, yo, all right, cool. I'm about to go have this conversation. I'm about to go share everything with these people.
Yeah.
And that's all I'm doing. I'm sharing, right? So whether we're talking about sales, whether we're talking about writing a book, I'm just going to give you my story. What did it look like for me writing a book as a high school dropout with a GED that could barely read, could barely write when he dropped out, spelling still bad today. Sometimes spell check don't pick my words up, right? Like, how can I feel bad? How can I feel bad for talking to people? How can I be afraid to talk to people when I got success with everything I had to overcome?
Mm-hmm.
I can't. Why? Because I'm really successful. You see, I'm successful in many ways. I've been with my wife for almost 27 years. right? My kids is grown. They good. I'm good. Like we like I got success, Vin.
Yeah, yeah.
How do I let somebody with no credit score in my lane dictate or impact me? And don't get me wrong, there's sometimes I'm like, damn, they're probably gonna feel funny. I'm like, man, what am I thinking about? Let's go. And keep it moving. I've been through way too much, Vin. Way too much, bro. When I look at it, like between, like I still remember Lil K asking me a question like 3 days later. Yo, I ain't never cried so hard in my life.
Mm-hmm.
Never cried so hard in my life when Lil K grabbed me, like, yo, can you bring me to my dad? Like, do you understand like the torment, Vin?
Mm-hmm.
When I sat there and seen Block laid out with 22 shots in him, do you know what that felt like? And then to look at his daughter, and now he got a granddaughter and he got other grandkids, and I see him and he'll never see him.
Yeah.
Like, how do I let somebody who's pissing their life away look at me and have an opinion on me? That's their opinion. Opinions are never true or false. They're just opinions.
Mm-hmm.
You can't argue that something is blue if it's blue. It's blue. But you can't argue that if I don't see that down there, it's not there. I don't see it. I can't see it. You see it. I don't see it. That's your opinion. I should see that far. No, I shouldn't. You see what I'm saying? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I got way too much. And these are the things I always think about. When I look and I'm sitting there and I'm like, yo, I'm looking at K on my arm here. I got Block on this shoulder. Like, look at the goosebumps, bro. Like, I got goosebumps all over my arms when I just think about it.
Mm-hmm.
So what the hell could get in my way? Only what I allow. And if I sit there and say, damn, I don't feel like doing it. Damn, K, Block, they can never do this. I don't have the right. You know what I mean? So why do I care what someone thinks? That's why, hey, Vin, I'm telling you, being an author crazy, bro. Like, I can sit there and really be like, yeah, nah, I dropped out of high school, couldn't read, couldn't write. I'm an author though. What you gonna say? You gonna say, oh, you had somebody ghostwrite it? No, I didn't. It's my story. I did it.
Yeah.
I did it. I put it together. I had somebody type it and clean it up, yeah, because I'm not the English guy, right? So I had them clean it up.
But it's mine. Yeah, I did
It's mine. I did that. And when all these people with degrees, like, oh my God, I always wanted to write a book. Damn, why didn't you? That's always my why didn't you? I could say that. I got the right to say it because I wrote one.
Well, it's what I just took from what you just said is certain things you don't have self doubt with, which you got through.
Mm-hmm.
So why would you have self doubt now?
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So
why would I not overcome it now? Because it comes.
Overcoming now. Like, it's just like you said, it's like somebody, how could you do that? And I'm like, how can you cannot do it? Like, I just do it. So that's what, I got to get better at to help me overcome the things that I have self-doubt with. I got to be like, well, you got through this, you got through that, whatever the circumstances are. Why can't you get through this next thing, whether if it's a book?
Yeah.
Like, the motivation part of what you just said, of everything you just said, is I never thought about that. You're an author. Like, that was the big, everything you said. I don't care what, if somebody didn't like the book, love the book, whatever, you are an author. The second thing was, that book ain't going nowhere. Like, those motivating things, like, this is just real. We're all going somewhere. We're not here forever.
Mm-hmm.
Once you accept that, you're like, okay. Now with a legacy, it's like, all right, you have a book. Like, one of my favorite books is Rich Dad Poor Dad. It was the easiest book I ever read,
Mm-hmm.
and the best book. So, and I remember, like, that changed my whole perspective. In saying that, and I was just listening to an interview. He was saying how many books he sold, whatever it is. I forgot what he said. But listening to you is like, wow, that man's gonna be dead and gone, and that book's still gonna go on and on and on. It's just like The Richest Man in Babylon.
It's gonna be talked about even more when I'm gone, Vin.
Gone. All these books, Think and Grow Rich. So you kind of just like, Yo, you just put me in check. I don't even know if you realize that or not. You got my head spinning. I'm just like, do that. Write that book. You know, and it's the same thing. Like even writing a book or make that speech. Go have that conversation.
Yeah.
You know, and yeah,
Think about how many times you messed up to get to where you are right now. Without the mess ups, you wouldn't be there.
absolutely not.
You see what I'm saying? So you got to go get more mess ups. Go mess up, fix it fast.
Yeah,
That's how I look at the whole thing, Vin. Man, I get so scared. I get so scared to do different things, man, all the time. And you got to have a formula to overcome your fears. You got to have a formula to overcome the self-doubt. You got to have the formula to get you to that, to get moving again.
mm-hmm.
So for me, the formula, like I'm always saying to myself, I don't know who came up with the, I'll do it later. I don't feel like it. For me, I look at it and I'm just like, Block can't, K can't. I can. So
Yeah.
I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So that's part of my formula. Oh man, I'm afraid to go ask that. Damn, I done been shot at. I'm supposed to be dead in jail. You know how many times them boys behind? Like I made it. Like, why am I scared of them? You see what I'm saying? Why am I afraid of this? Like, I'm afraid you might criticize me. So what? Like, so what? You was criticizing me when I was in the hood. Some of y'all was praising me when I was in the hood because we was all messed up together. Yeah. And now this is what I got. Like, come on, man. Come on, Vin. I look at people, I got in the car business, Vin. I used to be afraid and embarrassed to be like, y'all was in the car business because you come from hustling. It's like, I hustled all my life. Now I got a job. Like, what kind of shit is that? Like, that's backwards to me. And that was my biggest thing. Like, if you look at videos, I ain't really talk about the car business. I ain't mention it, nothing. You don't see nothing car because I didn't want you to know I was in the car business. I was working.
Mm-hmm.
But why? Here I am, high school dropout. My first year in the car business, I started May 5th, 2011. I made 85 grand that year. Legal money. Never made 85 grand. Never had a damn job. Then made 85 grand out the gate. My next year after that, it was like 120 something. And it ain't never looked back. It just went up.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I looked at a W-2 from 2017 and I'm like, yo, it's like 185, 190, some shit like that. And I'm like, yo, that's real legal money.
Yeah.
That ain't even business. That's just real, just dealership money. I still made money in the business. And I'm sitting here saying to myself, yo, how the hell do you let 30 grand, 40 grand, 50 grand, 60 grand, 70 grand, 80, 90 talk to you greasy and you paid attention? Like, come on, man. High school dropout, man. Couldn't read, couldn't write. You crazy? Even now, if I'm writing live, it will already be pre-written. If I ever spell something, I promise you it's because I memorized it. If other than that, I'm gonna put the initials. You see what I'm saying? I'm gonna abbreviate, and I might write a letter nasty because I don't know if that's part of the abbreviation.
Yeah.
Like, bro, I'm not tripping. What you gonna say about me? If we're just gonna sit here and point out flaws, I know your mindset. If we're going to sit here and pull out strengths and then see how I can complement a flaw, now we're having a conversation. We was talking the other day and we was talking about the speaking. You said something and you notice I ain't even acknowledge it. I just looked right over it, Vin.
Mm-hmm.
You said, you was saying the speaking, you was like, yeah, I want to learn this. Like, yeah, I know, ain't nothing free. You notice I ain't never said nothing, Vin. I just stayed just like that and went right over it.
Say that again. What did I missed it?
When you were saying, you was like, yeah, the speaking, I was like, nah, I got you. Bro, I give you the blueprint. Yeah, he was like, yeah, he was like, yeah, I know ain't nothing free. Yeah, we're talking, blah, blah, blah. And you notice I went right over it. I ain't say shit.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, absolutely.
Bro, value add.
Mm-hmm.
Value add. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So everybody, and it goes back to when you said, like, yo, you just think the money, you want to get the money. Like, nah, what the hell? Like, no. I'm like, bro, we just grind out. We just do this, put it all together, and you're gonna be like, oh shit, I got it. But there's gonna be value from you. There's gonna be value from me. Everything's not about a currency. It's not about a dollar.
Yeah.
And this is what people don't get. People are they don't have confidence in the skill that they have, and don't know how to maximize it and monetize it. Everybody is not meant to give you a bag. There's some people that's meant to just give you this, just give you information. and then you grow the relationship and you do other things that's more important than a one-timer.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I mean? Like, this is how I look at everything. Before, I'd have jumped like, yeah, boom. Yeah, I just sent everything. I just emailed over to you, man. Just look at it. Let me know. I'd have switched up quick, right? Like, yeah, boom, here's that, da, da, da. And I'd have looked for the bag. I'm like, yo, bro, I don't want no bag. It's not the bag. This ain't the bag. This is way bigger than a bag.
Yeah, yeah.
You see what I'm saying? It's way bigger than the bag, bro. And I just think that when you get out of your own way and you start to acknowledge the value you have and you start to see your strengths and identify the weaknesses of others, and when a weakness matches a strength. So when you say, yep, I want to speak, immediately I'm just like, okay, cool, that's a weakness. Oh, that's one of my strengths up here. Like, okay, let's work. Where else we going? Okay, yep, boom. Okay, yep. Easy. Yo, let's jump on this podcast, man. Here's the points. We structure this out. Value add. It's not the money. I don't want your money. You know what I mean? It's the value add, because where can it go from there? What can be built? What can be built? We change lives and we get bread from somewhere else.
Yeah, that's it.
You see, because I want to do some real estate moves. I want to learn the game. You see what I mean? I want a mentor.
Mm-hmm.
So we got to stop being afraid to give what we know because we're battered men or battered women. Oh, I gave all this information and I ain't getting nothing from it. They didn't. Okay, cool. You had bad judgment. You had bad judgment. It's not on the person. The person did what they always done. Took the information, ran, and go do whatever they do with it. Maybe they win, maybe they don't. So your evaluation on that person, your judgment was off. You really didn't align the strength and weakness together, because you're supposed to know your weakness, so your weakness can be matched by the strength. So if I want to do real estate, but I really don't know nothing about it, played around with it a little bit, got a, baby knowledge, but it's not enough. I mess around, lose it all, right? So it's not enough. But when you got the opportunity to get the information, now you get to really maximize your strength and then grow the weakness. So I challenge everybody, if you don't do nothing else, right? If you don't do nothing else, you ain't getting nothing else from here in this hour, to sit down and really write out your strengths and your weaknesses. What are 3 strengths that you have? I'm talking about things that you do effortlessly. It's hard for other people. You don't even think about it. It just flows. So simple. Takes zero energy. You can call me, ask me a question, text me. I can respond back real quick. No thought to it or nothing. Boom, and you're winning. That's my strength. So now I want to identify what are my 3 weaknesses, right? So you got to write down your 3 weaknesses. And then when you're talking to people, if you notice that they have a weakness, but you might not be sure, ask questions, dig a little deeper, grab it, and then now your strength gets their weakness, and then find their strength and see if it matches your weakness. That's a relationship. People grown now. I don't need to go and have no drinks. I don't need to go to no club. I'm not trying to have a wingman. Like, I'm cool with that, bro. Are you adding zeros or not? That's it. That's where it is, man. And I think some people get offended by people when they get to a certain level, because the people who haven't climbed know they have nothing to offer. So they start to feel left out. And the crazy thing is, I just want to bless them. They just got to do some work, though. You want to bless them. They want to do some work. But they're looking at it like you're supposed to just give it to them because you have it. You're supposed to give it to them because you already there. Like, why I got to go through all this? Just put me on. Putting you on don't help you. Putting you on is going to kill you. You going to die. You know what I mean? Like, you got to go through the trenches, bro. So that's where it is. And I just think, man, if we take time, focus on the things that are stopping us, and put our energy there, and stop worrying about people, man, that don't have a credit score in our lane, you'll be all right, man. Success will follow you.
No, I need to hear it to realize what I already get. Once you're reminded of it, it kind of gives you it gives you more confidence. And like you said, like, being in situations where you can allow the doubt to overwhelm you, or being around people that could bring that doubt. and overwhelm your mind where you don't want to move forward and get better at things and work at it. As you're saying, and like my next thing after we hang up, I got to write down my weaknesses. One of my many weaknesses that I have is relinquishing control. I try to control too much.
Yeah.
And I know, like, even in this office where I'm at right now, I've been here for about 3 months now. And I had to force myself to get the office. And now I have to fill the office. One thing that I know I need a controller, which could fire me on many things that I'm just not good at. The QuickBooks, going over things with the rents, making I was just having a conversation with a mentor of mine, and we were speaking on, I have some mortgages that people owe me for, and a lot of times I don't even collect the payments. I just be like, I get the payments, when they sell a house. And he was probably saying that's just not the right thing to do. You got to get organized and have somebody that's on top of that, collecting these payments, have somebody that's paying these bills and making sure you ain't getting late fees and all this other stuff. So going off topic a little bit, but that's one thing that I got to work on, writing down those weaknesses, working on those strengths. So knowing what you're good at, and having that, ability, because that goes into self-doubt too. Because sometimes you don't want to deal with some of your weaknesses, to be honest with you. So sometimes
put value to them, though. Put value to them. Mm-hmm. I think that's part of it, right? Like, we just look at it like, man, I suck doing that, man. That shit's stressful. It's aggravating. It's everything. We don't put a dollar sign to it.
Mm-hmm.
Put it like, what is it costing you? What is you not doing this or you not knowing this? What is it really costing you? That's different. And it's not just money, right? When I say dollars, it's not just money. It's what is it costing you with your sanity, with your time,
stress,
relation. Yeah. Right. So you got to look at it that way. I'm always like, yo, what is it costing me? Like, what's really the cost? My man Shan said to me, he said, he was like, yo, I paid $70,000 for my flat screen. And this is years ago. I said, what? I said, $7. I said, what you got? I said, what kind of TV you got? You know what I'm saying? Like, I went right to the
That's
TV.
what I'm saying in my head right now.
What kind of TV you got? Like, I don't want it. I just want to watch it. Like, let me see what's on that joint, right? Yeah. And he was like, nah, I was going to the Cheesecake Factory making $30,000 a year. And then I would go home, watch TV. He said, the minute I stopped watching TV, that first year I cut TV out, I made $100,000. So I was still at the Cheesecake Factory and I made another $70,000 in my business. I made $100,000. So that means that TV cost me $70,000 because I was watching the TV. And when I got rid of it, my income went up. So again, right, we can put that in many areas. Some people be like, oh, I don't watch TV. Great. Who you talk to? What's them conversations look like? Because if you're talking to somebody for an hour a day, if you spend an hour a day on the phone in a useless conversation, that's 30 hours a month. What could you do with it? How much is it costing you? I know if I sit down for 30 hours a month, right? If I put 30 hours in a month and I sit down, I can find me a gig or two. I can find me somewhere to go speak for $8,000, $5,000. And if I found 2 of them in a month, in the 30 hours, if I found 2 of them and it paid me $16,000, then that means whatever activity I was doing outside of that cost me $16,000. It's that simple. You see what I'm saying? So we just got to start to look at everything way different. We look at it like, man, this person calling me, they talking to me, I really need to walk away. I got shit to do. And we look at it like, I don't want to be mean to them. So we're going to be mean to ourselves? You see what I'm saying? Hey, bro, I'm looking at people real quick. As soon as you take that little breath, I'm looking at it like, hey, listen, I'm going to talk to you later. I got to go do something. And I'm walking. If I'm on the phone, you talking to me, the conversation's over. All right, listen, I'm going to talk to you later. You know how people be saying bye like 4 or 5 times? Bro, it ain't that serious. I'll talk to you later. We're done. Like, we got to keep moving, right? Because one thing I noticed, if somebody wastes their time, they have no problem wasting yours.
Absolutely.
So I can't give it to you. and I'm not spending $70,000 for a TV. You see what I'm saying? I'm not gonna do it, man. I'm not spending $16,000, $20,000 to sit there and talk to you. What we doing?
Yeah.
What we doing? We gonna take this right here. Like, come on, man. This again, conversation changes compensation. So when you look at it, I'm sitting here like, I really got, like, I just drove up to Atlanta 2 weeks ago, and I sat with my mentor at Starbucks. We had Starbucks and we talking, and he was like, "Yeah, P, I just left my client up here." He was like, "I moved that meeting up so we could so we had time to chop it up." So my mentor had somebody that he was meeting with, one of his clients that he was meeting with, and he moved that meeting up so he can make time for me before I got on the highway to leave. So we got to look at it, Vin. When you look at your circle and who gives you their time, why are we looking for the time of the peons, or the interest or the like of a peon? And again, I'm not bashing nobody. Like, if you take it like peon, or you messed up, whatever, then that's how you're taking it. But that's not my problem. That's yours. I want to make sure, Vin, I'm just always maximizing my life, bro. That's it.
First of all, that was super deep and something that was needed as far as for me goes. You kind of gave me a dose of medicine just now. So I'm in awe by the quick statement you said. One of the number one things was the 70,000 on the TV, and I don't watch a whole bunch of TV, but I can kind of take what you said and put that within my life on a lot of wasted time that I do, whether it's out of enjoyment for me or appeasement for others.
Mm-hmm.
So another thing I got to write down and kind of take heed to and get better at overall in my life, so I can improve. And one thing, which is what something's costing me on whatever, it could cost you your purpose. You said something about the real estate in learning about real estate, and I've recently said my purpose is to give the information that I have. That's what I feel like my purpose is. One of my many purposes in life. One of my main purposes is to share what I do know about real estate. So anything that could possibly take from that purpose, I need to either limit it or cut it out completely.
And that's why we're gonna do the conference, Vin. We're gonna do the conference, Vin. They don't even know yet, but it's coming.
Yeah.
I can see it's coming. Vin's like, yo, hold on, like, yo, it's coming, Vin. We gonna do
Everything you're saying is just like when you speak of K's death changed my mindset. I'll be real with you. Like, I was locked up during K's death. Two people that changed my mindset. K's death, Tiffany Dorsey changed my whole, where my head brain power was, and what I needed to do. And what I needed to do was change. I wrote something down years ago. I said, remember, love, and change. Remember them, obviously, love them, and change. The name of my company is called Kyle Tiff, and Kate was a lot older than me, older than both of us. But one thing I realized about Kay when I was thinking, Kay had a way about him where, you would listen to him. You know what I'm saying? Like, you would literally, like, he would just talk to you. Kay was the first person that brought me to a nice restaurant. We went to Spain. I'm young or whatever. He told me to drive. Whatever, we went to Spain. We ate a good meal. He was the first person that taught me about eating a good meal.
Yeah, me too.
I was used to, like, we're going to Burger King. Kay said, you're going to Spain. I'm like, how do you know about going to Spain? What, like, what? Who put you onto this? But he was just that dude, man. He was just that smooth person. So I'm bringing that up to say is like, the spirit of him made me be like, yeah, listen, we gotta do something else and change something else. You know what I'm saying? And once we do something else and learn something else, I gotta spread that information so the next person can take it. Now everybody doesn't want to take it, but nobody can't say I didn't give it. I'm giving it to you.
Yep.
You know, now they as we're speaking about self-doubt, they have the self-doubt they can complete it. But my mission is to give it to you. Like, yeah, just do this. And if you do this, then this is gonna happen. But guess what? If it don't happen, you might have to do it again. If it don't happen, you might have to do it again. You might have to do it 15, 20, I don't know. It's not gonna be success. You know, one of the best thing for me, which I needed it to happen, which is it was a true blessing. The first real estate transaction I did, I made $56,000, and I got a lot out of it. But more than the money, right? I always say I was thankful to have that first thing of success, because if I didn't have it, I might have quit, right? Just saying I might have. But I didn't have that opportunity because success happened right away. So, and I always say that success happened right away in order for me to learn, because I lost. After that, I just ended up messing up, losing, or whatever. But that first success taught me to say, all right, listen, just keep going. It's gonna come back. It's gonna come back. It's the same thing as doing a drug. You know, some people might be chasing that same high 100 times. But the difference is with this, you know, you can get that high eventually. You know, you can win here, lose, keep winning. You might lose again, keep winning. But it taught me to keep going and to keep pushing. And when I share this information with people in the real estate forum, is like, yo, this could happen, but you just got to keep showing up, man, and it's going to turn around.
It's gonna turn around. You know, you said something when you was talking about sharing. You know, you got the information because you want to share it. I want to make sure that, you know, people get the hack out of it, because that's real big. And I talked about it, right? People that are successful love to share and love to give information back, but they also want a reward, right? They don't want no money from you, but they want your success story.
Yeah.
They want to see, like, yo, I did that. It's working for you. Yo, I changed somebody's life. Let me do it again. That's what mentors get high off of, right? So when you see mentors and coaches, there's different. People don't know. Coaches you pay for, mentors are free, right? Let's be very clear. So mentors have different stake in the game than a coach does. So feed your mentor. Give your mentor the information, right? You learn something from Vin. You got to go back and you got to share the win with them. You got to let them see you working. And when your mentor see you working and you're outworking everybody else, and it's not even about winning, meaning you became successful from it, but you never gave up. You always come back like, this was the problem. This is the solution. But I tried this and this ain't working. And then they give you another little piece and they see the determination in you. Yo, you will catapult to the next level, right? This is what they talk about. Like, let your gift open the door for you, and it'll make room in that room for you. So bring the mentor back the information, the success stories, the problems you're going through, how you bumped your head around, how you feel, maybe you cried, like, so what? Like, share that too, right? But you never give up, and that becomes so, like, attractive, right? That's extremely attractive to a mentor, to see somebody not giving up. Yeah, so I hope they catch it. We could do this for like 3 hours, Vin, like, no exaggeration, but we're gonna jump off, and we're gonna continue to share the information, right? We're gonna continue to bless everybody. Like, we're not holding back, right? We're gonna share the information. If there's questions, all of it, like, we're gonna respond to questions, right? So just make sure you're doing the work. You can get all the information and be an information hoarder if you want to, or you can get the information and utilize it, right? Completely two different things. I said to somebody one day that implementing the knowledge that you have is key, not just information. Information is cool. It gives you something to talk about, but implementing the information gives you something to live on. All right. So I hope they got it, Vin. Any last words? Any last words you want to give them?
Same thing I've been saying through this whole conversation. Just keep showing up. That's just what it is, and that's going to put that doubt to the side. Like, I want to continue us having this conversation, which will take my doubt away from it. So I feel like, listen, you're that one person in that room right now. My next is going to be that 5. and after that, it's just going to grow from there. So this has been very helpful, and I want to continue this and talk on the next subject. Whatever that subject could be. I think we got to come together and make this a regular thing for the benefit of both of us. I want to get your information, and I want to share the information that I have that you could feel that you might want or need. Yeah, really, that's it.
Good, man. Good. All right, listen, we're gonna do it again, man. Next week we'll be back, Vin, and we'll jump in, man. And
All right.
yeah, let's keep it moving, man. I appreciate you, Vin.
All right, bless, brother.